Shalom, shalom, brother Donald, back again with another video. Um, gotta apologize for last week, man. Gotta apologize for last week. I think we only got on one time. We got on for a long time, but still, we only got on for one time. We gotta apologize. We gotta make that up going forward, right? We know any man, dealing with the work of the Lord, putting his hand to the plow. He himself, man, is not fit for the kingdom if he looks back. So we got to continue doing this work, continue to be consistent, continue to keep our first job um, first, man. We got to keep this first job because we get fired from this first job. All the other things of this world, our worldly job, will get fired from. And so most importantly, man, we got to keep in mind this first job, and the first job is to build this kingdom. So, again, a big salakia to the nation moving forward, man. Lord willing, we can be more consistent. First and foremost, giving all honor and glory to the Most High God, by way of His Son, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, by way of His Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Some call Yahweh, others say Yeshaya, but we know Him as the Prince that's going to save His people in these end days, right? So, today's topic is going to be honesty in relationships, right? And this can really apply to any relationship, whether that be friend relationship, um, mother daughter, father daughter, mother son, your cousins, any relationship, right? I'm mostly gonna be trying to hone in on a marriage relationship, right, between a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, right? There's a lot of divorces happening in Israel. You know what I'm saying? And in this truth, there's a lot of divorces happening, and it shouldn't be such. But I understand that it's the enemy's job to do that. When we come together and we make these marriages, make these covenants, right, and we start breaking these generational curses that we all probably are coming out of, single parent households and broken homes. The enemy does not like that, right? The spiritual enemy and our physical enemy, as we know as our oppressors, man, they don't like that. So they try everything in their power to get us to split up the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American homes, right? And so and a lot of us have been privy to that. I have my opinions on why that's happening, but we might say that for another video, right? One of the major reasons why it's happening, though, when it all boils down to, is honesty, which is the topic of this video, right? And so I'm gonna share my screen really quick. This is gonna be a really quick video, man. Um, not gonna be too long. Just gonna go to a couple places. Currently sitting outside the plantation right now. I gotta go in about maybe about 25 minutes or so, right? So we're gonna get to it. It's gonna be good though, right? So let me share my screen with you guys. We're gonna go to the book of First Peter, chapter 3 and verse number 7, right? Um, like I said, this is going to be more so geared towards marriage couples on this lesson, but of course it applies to all relationships, right? First Peter 3 and 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, right? Peter's telling us to dwell with our women according to knowledge. Don't be a simple-minded man that expects your women to deal with things the way a man should deal with things, right? And I can attest that sometimes I fall victim to that as well. Always got to keep everything in their proper perspective. We got to, what we used to say in basketball, we got to know our personnel, right? Know our personnel, know that who and what we're dealing with, right? Different species here, right? Giving honor unto the wife, right, as the weaker vessel. You got to understand that she is the weaker vessel. Of course, man, in this truth, we got to understand she is the weaker vessel. And as being heirs together of grace, of life, that the prayers be not hindered. So for your prayers not to be hindered, man, you got to take that your wife, you gotta hold her close to you, man, and treat her as such. One thing that I'm bringing this out for, because this, the topic is honesty. I bring this out to say is, although that your wife is the weaker vessel, um, don't let this cripple or crutch your relationship with the lack of honesty. What do I mean by that? Just because she's a weaker vessel does not mean you have to lie to her, fellas, right? There's been plenty of instances in the Bible where men were straight up with their partners, right? Sometimes that's what it has to be. Um, We see with Jacob when Rachel said, "Give me children lest I die." Jacob kind of irritated, like, "What are you talking about, man? I ain't got no control over that." Sometimes you got to be straightforward, right? We see it with Job when he called his wife was saying, "Curse God and die," and he said, "Oh, you speak as the foolish women speak." We see it with Moses and Zipporah when Moses told Zipporah that she needed to circumcise his son. She didn't want to do it. She cut off the foreskin and threw it in his face and said, "Thou bloody man art thou," right? But at the end of the day, he told her it had to happen. I don't care if you like it or not; it just has to happen because the Most High God said so. And so you got to understand, man, just because they're the weaker vessel, I know we like to talk to them nice and speak with them nice, and I encourage that. But speaking to them nice does not mean to lie to them. I know being in the world and coming into this truth, we were taught with our girlfriends, with our fiancés, our wives in the world that, a happy wife is a happy life. And even if you got to lie to them, it's that Jody spirit off of Baby Boy, right? When he told Yvette, he said, "Man, I tell the truth to these other girls because I don't care about them. I lie to you because I love you," right? Everybody comes in this truth and has that Jody spirit. We don't need to have a Jody spirit in this truth. It's important for this thing to work. You have to be honest, man, and you got to give credit to the women for more than what you think they can take. They can take honesty, and a lot of times, man, they appreciate honesty more, right? A lot of people in the world, they've experimented and they've had like Lou Williams and certain people like that. A lot of times, even in the world, man, not giving this advice, but if you were running game on girls, man, a lot of time they would be more susceptible to stay with you, even though that you're running game on them. If you were honest with them, you say, "Hey, look, man, I really like you, but I really like Shawty over here too, and I'm kind of attached to her." Just but it all boils down to, not saying that's right, but it all boils down to honesty, man. If you're honest with your woman, if you're honest with your husband, if you're honest with your partner in general, man, and they can see kind of your point of view on why you do certain things, it'll make the relationship that much better. Also, honesty helps you not to enable bad habits, right? What do I mean by that? You lying and man, we all know that a lot of women are aiming to be Proverbs 31 women, right? Even in the world they are, right? It's important for you men, especially you new men that are getting married, just because your woman's in the truth and you love her, don't lie to her and tell her she's a Proverbs 31 woman when you know she's not, right? When you're around the girls, when you're around her, you telling her she's a Proverbs 31 woman. When you get around the dudes, the men of the Lord, then you got nothing but bad things to say about her, right? If your woman is not a Proverbs 31 woman, if you are expecting more out of her, if you want her to do more things in her role and she's not doing it, right? Don't lie to her and tell her she's doing a good job, right? You lie to her, tell her you're doing a good job. You're only nesting bad habits, and she's never going to change. A lot of girls like honesty, right? A lot of girls like honesty, and you got to be honest in your relationships, right? I was watching a video, and the dude brought up a point. He said, "Man, a lot of times, man, your woman has good intentions, but she never knows what you want because you're not honest with her, right? And a lot of guys suffer, right, on a elementary level, but you suffer because you tell her that her food is good and you don't like it, and she keeps fixing it, right? It goes back to there was a guy. He said, man, if you ask your wife to make you a sandwich and she doesn't ask you what you want on your sandwich and she goes and makes you a sandwich and brings it straight to you, she just made you another man's sandwich, right? She just made you another man's sandwich, right? And the crazy part about it is the other man's sandwich that she had, that man was honest with her. You know what I'm saying? You have to be honest. Don't enable your women. And likewise with women, don't enable your man. If you feel like your man, you love your man, right? You don't want to hurt his feelings, but you think he can do more. Let him know the things that you want him to do, right? And then at the end of the day, the basis of all of this stuff is the Bible, right? So if you have expectations of your wife, if you have expectations of your husband, make sure it's a biblical expectations, right? I'm not saying righteous compromises can't be made, but make sure they're biblical expectations. And if they're not fulfilling those biblical expectations, then you kind of have a right to be upset, right? And you got a right to bring it to their knowledge. um, and deal with them according to knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And don't lie to them, right? Just a few scriptures on lying real quick, man. Let's go to the book of Leviticus, man. Let's see. We want to go to Leviticus 19:11, right? Leviticus 19:11. A lot of people don't know, man. I see a lot of brothers out here treating the text when they go in the Bible and they're talking to people and they say, man, lying's not a sin. You got to show me in the law. You got to show me in the law. Well, we're going to show you in the law that lying is a sin. It's just not bearing false witness is actually lying, right? This is the King James version in Leviticus, right? A lot of people don't know this, man. Take this down. Leviticus 19:11. Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another. Neither lie one to another. Yes, that's talking about you and your relationships, man. Stop lying to people for your benefit. Stop lying to people to enable them because you're afraid to hurt their feelings. When you're in the truth, right? That's something that we do not do. We do not sugarcoat things. And it only that's what the enemy does, right? That's what your enemy does. He lies to you, right? He gives you President Obama, tells you that we're for black people when they're really not, right? They give you gifts, right? And to destroy the heart. You're not supposed to do that, right? Let's go to Leviticus 19:17 because it gets better. Same chapter, right? This is a classic. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. In thine heart, thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him, right? Again, this goes back to enabling, man. Don't hate your brother, your sister, right? Your wife, your husband in your heart, right? If you see something that needs to be rebuked, rebuke it. Don't keep it in just for the sake of your partner or your friends feeling, right? Don't suffer sin upon them, because I understand you understand. It's simple, man. It's cliche, but it's called ripping the band-aid off. Sometimes you don't want to do it, but sometimes you get that pain over with, you can move forward faster. You can get to a better place faster, right? Let's see. We're gonna go to the last scripture. We're gonna go to Proverbs 27:5. I was reading Proverbs 27, and I found it kind of funny, man. You know, you can always get something out of the wisdom books, you know, Proverbs, Ecclesiasticus, stuff like that, man. But you can always get something out of these. And I was reading something, man, and I was like, dang, I never looked at it like that. I'm gonna show you guys what I'm talking about, right? Right here, that they may keep. Oh my gosh. That's not even the scripture that I wanted to go to. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The water Abanawa. How about Hashem Mashiach Yahushua? Man, I didn't have this in my notes. This is in the wrong chapter and everything. But look at this. They may keep thee from the strange woman, from the strange which flatter with her words, right? Again, the strange women's they envy. I mean, this is the enemy, right? And this is their tactic to give us flattering words. We don't use flattering words, right? Let's see here. Proverbs 27:5, man. That's the most high right there. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just got a little bonus clip. You know what I'm saying? Watch this though. Proverbs 27 and verse number 5. Open rebuke is better than secret love. This is the classic. If you ain't got it, write it down. Open rebuke is better than secret love, right? In this truth, it's better to be open, right? Sometimes you got to take a step back. If you guys haven't had a one-on-one conversation in a long time, even if you're not going through any altercation, sometimes maybe you should step back and be like, hey man, how you feeling? Right? Is there anything that my wife does this all the time. Is there anything that you would want me to do that I'm not doing? Can you express the feeling? You know, how you feeling about my performance, about, you know, my role, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. Sometimes it's okay to step back and ask these questions, right? It's cool because you know, in the world, man, you know, you get into a long relationship and people say you start getting boring. You stop because you done ask, what are you doing 50,000 times? You already know your favorite colors and all of that stuff. But this is another way you can, you know, keep that love going by constantly, you know, asking these questions. How can I better myself? What would you like to see out of me? Things like that. Open rebuke is better than secret love. And I like the way it says secret love, because a lot of us lie to our significant others. A lot of us keep things from our significant other because we don't want to hurt their feelings because we love them so much. We got that Jody spirit again. We can't do that in the truth. But these next couple verses, man, kind of rang home for me, man. And I never really looked at them like this, right? Faithful are the wounds of a friend, right? Meaning, hey, when you hurt your friend's feelings, it lets you know something, man, that your friend's not just there for the good times, right? And it lets you know that that friend really loves you. It says, faithful are the wounds of a friend. When you get a wounded, a lot of times they say, man, in the world, they say, man, it's really not your friend if y'all ain't got into a fist fight before, if y'all ain't wrestled or nothing before, right? Faithful are the wounds of a friend, because right after that, you can tell if that's your real friend or not. Because either you gonna be cool with it after that, man. Y'all can laugh it off, you can respect each other, or y'all go your separate ways. It happens both ways about 50% of the time, right? But faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of the enemy are deceitful. The kisses of the enemy are deceitful. Man, I want to tell this story. I'm running short on time. I'm gonna tell it anyway. There was a guy, and he who's getting harassed by somebody I know. He was getting harassed by the police, right? And when he was getting harassed by the police, you know what I'm saying, there was a white woman off to the side. After the police had left him from throwing him against the car and all of that good stuff, right? You know what he did? He was crying. He said he was crying, and then a white lady came over, gave him a hug, kissed him on the cheek, and said, "Man, it's gonna be okay. I saw everything that happened." Blah 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 blah. And I let him know. I said, "Man, she doesn't really love you, because if she really loved you, she would come over and she would have intervened, right? But the enemy wants to come and kiss you after the fact and make you seem like they care, but they really don't." Right? It's these things, man. The kisses of the enemy are deceitful, right? And he was saying, man, this white lady, she was really nice, and I felt really comfort. If she really loved you, if she really wanted to be there for you, she would have intervened when it was happening, right? Because she did it after the fact. That's cool, right? But you could have never even made it to after the fact, right? The whole time she might have think you was deserving it too. You know what I'm saying? The full soul, this is the last thing I'm gonna say, right? Honesty, the lack thereof honesty, right? The lack thereof will drive you to do, certain things that you don't want to do, like cheat on your spouse, or never be home, right? Things like that. Perfect. Leads me into the next verse, right? Right. The full soul loatheth and honeycomb. Honeycombs are sweet, right? The full soul, when my soul is full, right? When I'm not greedy, right? Even if the honeycomb is sweet, that dessert over there on that table is my favorite dessert. But when I'm full, I'm satisfied, I'm not gonna go over there and touch it, right? I don't want no more when I'm full, right? Same thing in a relationship. When you're full in a relationship, you don't want nothing more, right? Yeah, over there she might look good, man, right? You think she might be your type, you know what I'm saying? Or he might look good. His beard connects, you know what I'm saying? He might be your type, right? But at home, if you're full, you don't need that. You don't even want to touch that. It says loath means to pretty much to despise or to hate, right? I don't need none of that. It's gonna bring drama and confusion to my life. I'm full. I'm satisfied at where I'm at right now. It says, but to the hungry soul, every bitter thing is sweet. You're constantly hungry, eyes always on the prowl. And this is look, right? If you got eyes to see and ears to hear, this is what is ruining a lot of relationships in the truth, right? Yes, we know what is lawful. If you got eyes to see, you know what I'm talking about. We know what is lawful. But man, you got to understand, when you're satisfied, when you got somebody that's in your corner, man, you got no need for spoil, right? When you go and you act on greed, certain things follow with that, right? And that's all I'm gonna say on that, right? Verse number 8. This is how you should be, right? As a bird that wandereth from her nest, so is a man that wandereth from her place. What does this mean? If y'all ever saw a bird and she has a nest and she got babies in there, even when she comes back, man, whenever she leaves, you can bet that bird is thinking about coming right back to that nest as soon as possible. ASAP, as my brother TIP would say, right? She's coming back to that nest as soon as possible. It's just like a man. A man that wanders from his place should be the same. Whenever I step outside of my house, I should always think about, hey man, I need to get back home as soon as possible, bro, to my wife and my kids, instead of being out here doing God knows what, right? That's how a man should be. as a bird wandereth from her nest, and she got to get back ASAP, right? To get back with her kids, to feed her kids, to nurture her kids. Same thing as a man. Yeah, we're supposed to go out here and do what we got to do, right? Sometimes, we are away from the home for for a little longer than we expected, but we always got to have that urge to come back and take care of home, right? This has been another Think About It Thursday. We're gonna get on tomorrow, Lord willing. And I hope you guys enjoyed this, man. I hope you guys understood what I was trying to, and I hope it resonates with a lot of you guys, right? But I'm Brother Donald, giving all honor and glory to the Most High God by way of His Son, who the world ended calls Jesus Christ, who we see as an instrument of salvation for our nation, the nation of Israel. Be honest in your relationships, and have a good day. Shalom.